love ball like I do, After Dark's a must listen.
It's where I go to get my hoops fixed.
This is Field of 68 After Dark.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Wednesday evening edition of the Field of 68 After Dark. We have a lot to get to tonight. It was a crazy day of college basketball. Once again, you would expect nothing less from the Wednesday of Feast Week. My name is Rob Dauster. I got Ant Wright here with me. I got Coach Matt McCall here with me. And there's a lot that we are going to dive into from the show. We're watching the end of Michigan State, North Carolina right now. We're watching the end of Alabama and Rutgers right now. We could have two more top 12 teams lose during the course of this broadcast. And we already had a couple of upsets today. Gonzaga went down in overtime to West Virginia in the battle for Atlantis. A team that did not lose, guys, was Auburn, who took care of Memphis, and they all of a sudden look like they might be the best team in all of college basketball. We're going to dive into that. I'm going to let my man Ant Wright here talk a little shit about the Big Ten because he has a lot to say about the Big Ten, and they had a really, really good day today. But before we do any of that, we got to talk about the negative in the Big Ten. Indiana lost to Louisville 89-61. It's the first time in 16 tries that the Louisville Cardinals have beat a ranked opponent. They won by 28 points, and it could have been a lot worse, Matt. It could have been a lot worse because Indiana banged like 3 threes in the last minute, I think 2 in the last 6 seconds to cut what would have been like nearly a 40-point loss to only 28. We'll see how much it ends up helping their metrics in the long run. We'll talk about Louisville in a second. My biggest question to you, Matt, is the thing that stood out to me more than anything else in this game is that you got about midway through the second half, and it felt like Indiana just gave up. They just rolled over and died. There was a stretch there where they didn't even look like they were defending in the second half. What happened with Indiana, and how did this loss come to fruition?
Well, again, everyone wants to talk about Mike Woodson, and is he the right guy for the job? And he's the former player that they brought in to fix things. And I think when you look at Indiana basketball, Tom Crean's first year, they win 1 game. And he takes them to a couple different championships. He takes them to multiple, NCAA tournaments. And maybe his tenure, he stayed too long. Like, I think there's something to be said about that. I think there's, you can stay too long in a certain place. And then Archie Miller comes in. And Archie Miller didn't forget how to coach when he was at Indiana. I mean, you look at what Archie Miller did at Dayton, was absolutely through the roof. Had to deal with the pandemic when he was at Indiana. And, okay, now let's bring in an NBA coach that's a former player that was there with Bobby Knight. I think when you look at Indiana, you have to think about what are the expectations? Has anyone done it at the level of certain people that have done it like Bobby Knight has? And the answer is no. And we have these expectations that they're supposed to be at that level and get to the Final Four and win national championships. And it's just not the case. So are you going to continue to recycle coaches? We know that they struggled shooting the basketball from the perimeter. That wasn't necessarily the case today. They shot 35% in the game, but it's just kind of one of those things. It's like, what's going to get them over the hump? What's going to get them back to the level of a blue blood, which is what everyone expects them to be at? And I don't have the answer to that.
Amp?
I mean, today it came down to Chucky Hepburn, bro. Chucky Hepburn treated these dudes like adopted children. Like, it was so bad. It was so bad. Chucky Hepburn had Indiana in absolute shambles. Their backcourt couldn't do a damn thing. Nobody. Miles Rice, Kenan Carlisle, Trey Galloway combined for 3 points, went 1 for 15. I think it was like 9 turnovers and 2 assists or something, or 3 assists. It was terrible. It was so bad. Louisville jumped them. They had such good energy from jump. It was an 8-point deficit at half, and I held the halftime space for like Indiana fans, and I'm like, I don't know how this is just 8. It feels like 15 or 16. It feels like these two teams, their energy is so far apart that it was very important for Indiana to just hold serve for the first several minutes of the second half. But just the energy that, Kelsey had his guys playing at, the attention to detail. That team also for Louisville fans, that game against Tennessee where you kind of ran up against a buzzsaw, I think that was one of the better things that could have happened to you early on. You guys played a very seasoned Tennessee squad, and I think Kelsey learned a lot about his own players. The Louisville I saw today, 180 from what I saw against Tennessee. And Chucky Hepburn was great today. Got everybody involved. Got their shooters to get like Balo was playing like bad drop, and the five was popping, hitting threes. It was just a great basketball game on both ends for Louisville. But if you're Indiana and you go out and you finally have a backcourt like that, like you have a 5th or 6th year guy in Trey Galloway coming off the bench to help out with the backcourt, and you can't run offense, that is an issue. That is a big problem that goes beyond Woodson. And that, as a player, as a guard, you have to have some sort of pride when you put on the Indiana jersey. If you're the leader of this team, if you're the general, and you can't tell your troops what to do because you're being hounded way too hard, that's an issue. You have to look yourself in the mirror, bro. That was just an embarrassing game from like opening tip to the very end. Just all the way embarrassing. And shout out to Anthony Leal and the bench mob for bringing that game to just to score 60, because it looks a little bit better, right? It looks like it's in the 20s and not by 30s or 40s. But yeah,
yeah, you're right.
Absolute shame.
It does, man.
Absolute shame.
It could have easily been 37. Debbie Antonelli's kid got in there with like 2.5 minutes left, man. They're in the era where you don't clear the bench. Louisville cleared the bench with like right at the under 4. Like it was pretty wild. Like I just, so there's a couple things that I take away from that. One, you're 100% right. Like Chucky Hepburn ate up Miles Rice, and I don't think I appreciated enough how good that dude is defensively. Like he is a dog of dogs.
He was real good last
He will
year.
get after you. He will ruin your entire experience in the Bahamas with what he could do defensively. But I thought that it was really two things to me, and I'm curious, McCall. I'm curious your take on this. One was when you're going to play two bigs and Mbaka at the 3. The way that Indiana wants to, and you go up against a team that kind of has similar positional size. Noah Waterman's 6'11", Kaysen Pryor is 6'10". You got 2 6'6" wings that start, right? And those guys just want to play 5 out, and they're running and they're cutting and they're moving, and they run that Kelsey offense. Like that's part of the issue of playing those two bigs, is having to guard teams that play modern, real, actual basketball, what you're supposed to do in 2024. And then to me, that kind of comes to fruition. Indiana ended up getting 23s up in this game, but at halftime they took 6 threes. I think it was 31 field goals, 6 3-point attempts. And to me, the issue was you kind of saw a team that is playing to space the floor, where they use the set of the threat of the 3 to create the rim pressure with the back cuts and the way that they run offense, versus a team that wants to get the ball in the post and run their offense that way. And it doesn't work. It's easier to guard smaller when you have to play against big guys than it is to use your big guys to try to chase Noah Waterman, who's out here banging threes. He took 8 threes. He was being guarded by Umar Ballo. Like, McCall, what are you going to do? Like, that right there is the problem with playing this style of basketball to me.
Yeah, but Rob, I think the bigger problem was one team came out completely inspired. Louisville was inspired. Like, they came out there and they're like, you know what? This game is important to us, and we're fired up, and we're excited to play, and we're excited to be here. And Indiana wasn't that. Like, at the end of the day, you can play the game of basketball a million different ways. You can play two bigs, you can run motion, you can play zone, you can press, you can do all this. But if your team doesn't play inspired, or like something's on the line, Louisville's team played the way that their coach coaches. Like Pat Kelsey, high energy, everything. Like that's how their team plays. And Indiana wasn't that way. I think the floor spacing when you try to play two bigs is always going to be an issue. And then what are you doing defensively? Are you going to switch? Are you not going to switch? But the way Louisville wants to play with that pace and shoot a bunch of threes and the ball being flown up the floor. But to me, the style of play is not what cost Indiana this game. It was like the game was more important to Louisville. And everyone in
That's
Louisville's program was like,
reduced that line.
like it was that's at the end of the day, that's what cost Indiana. The game meant more to Louisville. So we can talk about style of play, throw that out of the window.
Who does that fall on, Ant? Who does that fall on?
That does fall on Woody quite a bit. It does for sure. You got to be juiced to play all these games. You can't go into games like this prime time games and just treat them like your regular bye. You know, you have to be able to come out and put your foot on the gas 100%. And then, like, I'm sitting here looking at the Malik Renew stat line: 21 points, 7 for 12, 7 rebounds, and 4 assists. That looks real sexy. But if you watch the game, he probably allowed like 35, 40 points. So, like, it looked good, but it's just one of those things where you have to be able to adjust. And one thing about this Indiana roster, I think it has the pieces to play in multiple ways. But if you're not going to come in with that energy that you're going to come out and win this game, you're going to come out and, you know, I feel like Louisville put their imprint on Indiana. Like, whatever Louisville wanted to do, they did it. And I don't think Indiana really executed anything in their game plan for Louisville to have to adjust to. It was just Indiana just getting ran over after every under 4 throughout the entire game. It was really, really ugly.
Yep. All right. So real quick before we move on to the Gonzaga game, what can you take away from this if you're Louisville, right? With the Tennessee loss, my whole thing, Matt, was that I thought they were getting the shots that they wanted. They went up against a team that was a little bit more physical than them. The shots didn't go down. They started to try to play like this one-on-one style where, you know, every single guy on that team was an alpha at his last stop. And it was like, look, I'm going to solve this problem. I'm going to go bring us back. And like, you can't do that against Tennessee. They're just going to eat you up. And I felt like there was a reason why they lost by that much. And then you see this game and you see this performance. And to me, like, this was the Louisville, like when I was down in the Bahamas with them, like this was the Louisville that I saw. This was why I was like, yeah, okay, I'm in on this team. Like, I think that they can make a run. I think they're like top 3 in the ACC. What can you take away from this performance if you are Pat Kelsey?
Well, one, let's talk about Tennessee. Tennessee's really good. Okay, so, I mean, we saw what they did against Baylor the other night. I mean, like, Tennessee's the real deal. And they lose Dalton Connect.
By the way, Seth Trimble just hit a 3 with 5 seconds left to tie the game in the Maui. What is this? The 3rd place game against Michigan State. That was a crazy shot. We'll talk about that in a little bit. Sorry, Matt, not to cut you off.
Can't wait. No worries. You can get it's your show. You can cut me off as much as you want. Cut me off as much as you want. Look, like, and again, we talk about expectations with Indiana, right? And the coaches that have come through, the expectations for Louisville is to win national championships. So when they lose the second game of the season, we're not talking about what Pat Kelsey walked into, basically needing a whole new team. The last couple years for that program was an absolute disaster. Call it like it is. But for him walking through the door, it's like, you know what? Winning a few games and showing progress, that's not the expectations for Louisville Cardinal fans. It's not. The expectation is to get the NCAA tournament this year and compete. That's what Pat Kelsey walked into. That's why he was the right person for the job, too, just because of his energy and everything he brings to the table. Losing the second game of the season to Tennessee, who everyone's like, we'll see how they respond with Dalton Connect going to the NBA. Tennessee's really good. So I think this is a great start. This is a statement win, and his team, by the way, played way more inspired than Indiana. You look on paper, you look at Indiana may be more talented. Didn't matter today. The more inspired team, the harder playing team won the game. And that's what Pat Kelsey's team is going to bring to the table. He's won wherever he's been. Bottom line.
Yeah.
And
his team, you don't have to worry about intensity with a Pat Kelsey team. At all. That is for sure. You know they're going to play hard. And 30 seconds, give me your overall view of this Louisville team.
One thing that Pat Kelsey is going to be able to see here is that this is going to be his first time to see how his team responds to a little bit of success. Like, okay, hey, you did this, but can you but can you do it again? Right? Are you happy with yesterday so much that you can't focus on today? So I think you're going to learn a lot about this team. He didn't get a shot off. You're going to learn a lot about this team if they really come out with that same intensity, if not ramp it up a bit, because this West Virginia team is really good. Their guard play, I mean, Javon Small, Tucker DeVries, like those guys, they can really, really play ball. So if you're going to come out and, half-ass it, it's going to be tough. But Chucky Hepburn versus Javon Small, buckle up. That's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, Trey Holloman brought the ball up and ran directly into, I think that was Jaden Akins. He got form tackled by his own guy with 2 seconds left. That wasn't the best. Wasn't the best finish. I don't think that's what Tom Izzo drew up in the huddle. Let's go to the other game in the battle for Atlantis that we really need to talk about. You mentioned West Virginia. They are playing Louisville in the winners bracket. We have a losers bracket of number 3 Gonzaga and number 14 Indiana in the battle for Atlantis. That's just feast week for you, man. That's what happens when college basketball goes crazy during Thanksgiving week. The Zags lost 86-78. They had a bad turnover with about 8 seconds left by Ryan Nemhard, who never turns the ball over. Game goes to overtime, and Javon Small kind of takes over. He was the best player on the floor. Matt, are you worried about – is there anything that concerns you about this loss for Gonzaga, or is this just West Virginia's good? They got good guards. They got playmakers. Darren DeVries understands he's got a couple guys who can go get buckets on this roster. Like I said last night that I thought Gonzaga was the best team in the country, and that we were going to say this after they roll through the battle for Atlantis. And all it takes is one game for me to look like an idiot when it comes to the best team in college basketball. So I'll eat a little crow on that one. What do you take away from this if you're watching this as a Gonzaga fan?
Even after last night, you're still saying Gonzaga? Watching Auburn, you're still saying Gonzaga? You were saying that after watching that game? You must have fallen asleep. I think you fell asleep.
Well, no. So what happened was, like, once I have a take, I'm not backing off of it until, like, I have to back off of it. And now I have to back off the – like, there's no choice. You know what I mean? So
I'm the same, bro. I'm the same.
No, like, look, they didn't play their best. And look, West Virginia and Dan DeVries is a really good coach. I mean, he proved that at Drake, and he brings his son with him. And, I don't think there's a cause for concern at all for Gonzaga. We're going to find out right over the next couple of weeks with the schedule that they have coming up. Mm-hmm. Obviously, Indiana tomorrow, and it doesn't get any easier after that. They're going to play the Cats. Then they're going to play UConn. We know Mark Few never shies away from playing against the best teams in the country and the best schedule in the country. I don't think there's a cause for concern. I mean, they probably traveled further than anyone else in this event to get to the event, and they didn't play their best game. And the game went into overtime, and they had chances and opportunities to win the game. These early season MTEs, you find so much about your team, and it's good for you because you can build off of it going forward. But I don't think there's any cause for concern. I think West Virginia just played better tonight, and they ran into a little bit of a buzzsaw in terms of that, and that's going to happen, especially in these things. Like, look, if you're Gonzaga going into the game, you're preparing for Tucker DeVries, no question about it. Best player on the team. Javon Small goes for 31, had 7 rebounds, 4 for 10 from the 3-point line. I don't think it's a big concern for Gonzaga fans. Don't think that at all.
Yeah, our producer just texted us. Spokane to the Bahamas is a 14-hour-long trip, and you go from being on the West Coast time zone to being in the Bahamas, and you're also playing the early. It was a noon tip, so it would have been like a 9 o'clock their time tip. So I give you a little bit as well.
I went last night, Rob, from JFK at 9 p.m. to Phoenix. I landed at 12:30 Phoenix time, and I'm still trying to figure out time zones. I can't even imagine what they're doing.
Well, hopefully they have someone a little smarter than you on staff to be able to do the math for them on that. So here's the one thing I will say is that I am a little bit I think it's a little bit of a, I don't know if a red flag is too strong of a word here for it, but I thought Javon Small like kind of cooked Ryan Nembhard and kind of cooked up that Gonzaga backcourt. And I don't know how many guards are as good as Javon Small. Like people need to, he's a really, really good player.
Yeah,
but I thought that I'm a little bit worried about them defensively at the point of attack there. But again, like that just might be one guy got hot and it is what it is.
Yeah, like what transfer from Oklahoma State. You know, I did a video on him last year. I'm like, man, this dude is nice. This dude is real nice. I wanted a couple Big Ten teams to look at him, but he went over there to West Virginia. Look, Gonzaga can't afford their backcourt being outplayed. I think they're way too talented there with Hickman and Nembhard. They weren't the best today. And what's nice is that Javon Small doesn't have to guard the other best player the whole game because they have Sincere Harris from Illinois. And that's what he does. His thing is, I am going to stop whoever is good on the other team at the guard spot, and I'm going to try to make their life hell. Nembhard has some pretty good assists. He did go one for 10 or 1 for 11, I think. But Javon was able to really exude all of his energy on the offensive side of the basketball. And, you know, big players make big plays. And I just think that Javon and Tucker, they were the ones who were making big plays possession after possession whenever West Virginia needed it. And that was the difference in this game, 100%. And then you have Amani Hansberry undersized against a pretty decent-sized front court, and he held his own and then some at a very high level.
Yeah. I think West Virginia, they'll get a really good test on Thanksgiving against Louisville and Javon Small. We're going to learn everything we need to know about Javon Small when he goes up against our guy, Chucky Hepburn. We got to talk about Auburn. We got to talk about the Maui champions, and we will do that in just a second as soon as we get back from this word from our sponsors. If you haven't heard by now, we have partnered with BetMGM for this season. We'll be using BetMGM lines to make all of our picks, and we'll have special offers for the listeners and the viewers. Download the BetMGM app and sign up using the bonus code FIELD. Deposit at least $10 and place your first wager on any game, and you'll receive up to $1,500 in bonus bets. Go download the BetMGM app and use the code FIELD today. Welcome back to the Wednesday evening edition of the Field of 68 After Dark. It is technically, for the next 5 minutes, still Thanksgiving Eve. I'm gonna put you guys on the spot. I'm gonna ask you what your favorite Thanksgiving foods are, because I'm very curious. We have a weird Thanksgiving situation over here. I'll explain to you guys in a few minutes. But before we do all of that, one of my favorite things about Thanksgiving Eve used to be staying up until like 2 a.m. to watch the Maui championship game. That's changed. They moved the time that game starts from late at night, as late as humanly possible, to 5 o'clock in the afternoon. I now that I'm getting a little older, like
Didn't there used to be a day in between too? Was there a day? There used to be a day in between. Am I wrong on that?
No, it used to be the Wednesday, but it used to be the late night game. It was like you stayed up until 12:30. You know what I mean? Like I grew up in Connecticut, right? And at Connecticut, the bars close at 1 a.m. So what you would do is you would go and you would hang out and you do all see all your high school friends when you got home, right? And hanging out the bars. And then it's like 12:30 and they do last call and you go home and you watch the Maui championship game. And you wake up the next morning and it's Thanksgiving, right? It was awesome. And now they played at 5. I don't know. I just can't get behind that. But it felt like the one game in Maui that wasn't absolutely insane, Matt. And that's because Auburn just kind of beat the brakes off of Memphis. And I don't think that says all that much about Memphis. Memphis is real. I think it says everything that you need to know about this Auburn team and this Auburn program. And Janai Broome, 21 points, 16 boards, 6 assists, 4 blocks tonight, 8 for 15 from the floor, and 2 for 4 from three. How good is this dude? And how good is this team, Matt?
So, Rob, I think you fell asleep last night in the game against North Carolina. I don't think you stayed up the entire game. I stayed up because I was on that flight trying to figure out what the time zone was, traveling from New York to Phoenix. He's ridiculous. And I obviously, I don't think we can say, hey, Auburn is better than Kansas right now just based on the numbers and who they've played. But it's 1A and it's 1B. And the fact that this guy is hitting threes off the bounce, and I know he starts at the power forward spot, but he plays a lot at the 5 spot for him, Janai Broome. And he's hitting corner threes. He's hitting threes off the bounce. He's blocking shots. And how hard he plays, to me, is what's the most impressive thing. And it's their entire program, like the culture that Bruce Pearl has created there in terms of how hard you have to play, the effort that you have to play with. If they're not in the Final Four in San Antonio, I'd be shocked because, look, I know Alabama's going to continue to get better. I know Nate Oates, what he does is schedule really, really hard, and that's what helped them last year, and that's what helped them to get to the Final Four last year was their non-conference schedule, and they just continue to get better. And they have one of the best point guards in the country, and he proved that last night, even though he struggled against Illinois. But this Auburn team and the freedom that they play with on offense, that would be the only thing that I'm like, okay, does this catch up to them? The freedom, the shot selection, the taking corner threes off the bounce if you're Janai Broome. Like, does that ever catch up to them in the NCAA tournament? But in terms of how hard they play and the talent they have that out there on the floor, this team is – I mean, they're fun to watch. They're a lot of fun to watch.
Yeah, and for me, it's the size they have on the perimeter, right? Like, obviously, Janai Broome is awesome. There's a lot of like really good big guys in college basketball, but you just look at it, and it's like it's a never-ending wave of these like 6'8" athletic dudes that can guard seemingly any position. Most of them can make threes. Some of them can bring the ball up, and it's just, where does the pipeline end? Like, it's just it's. You get like 3 guys in foul trouble, and then all of a sudden here comes Chris Moore off the bench, right? It's just the level of length and athleticism and toughness with how hard they play defensively. It's just what are you supposed to do with that, man?
It's tough, man, because I think about that. I mean, really over the last like 2 weeks, I've really thought hard. Like the positional size on the wings has changed so much, so much. I was what, like 6'5", 6'6", and I played 3 and 4. Now the 3 and 4 is like 6'7", 6'8" across the board. And then the way that they move now, they're not only 6'7", 6'8", they move like they're 6'1", which is like way more dangerous. Because now not only are they ginormous with a long wingspan, but they can move their feet and guard the 1 through 4 seamlessly. And for Auburn, the way that they play, like you guys touched on it, like they go strong 9 deep, and then they'll dabble with 10 and 11 sometimes, but they go strong 9 deep. I think they have 9 guys who play at least 15 minutes, 7 who play at least 20. Like once you're in there, you have an expectation. And you're going to play for X amount of minutes, and you probably know, like, not exactly, but, like, you probably know how long you have. And that's how long you got until you have to come out. Then you're going to have 1 or 2 more of those segments. But the way that Auburn has gotten to this point is just so special. Bruce Pearl what is he? Is he top 3 for you guys currently? Top 3 in the country? Top 5?
Top 5 for sure. Top 3.
Inarguable. Yeah, 100%. I mean, yeah.
Like, we're talking about Auburn,
Bill
bro.
Self
like, they had no history.
And yeah, you're right. I mean, and I've talked about this on the field of 68 before. Like, you could go in there, and there would be nobody in the building. And it was like, okay, Auburn would play hard, and they may give you a game, but it was one of those games where you would circle on your schedule like, okay, we're going to be okay here. All we got to do is make sure we show up. Because there's not going to be a single person in the stands. There's no environment. He's turned it into a basketball school. Like, let's call it like it is. He has turned it into a basketball school. I don't know if
Matt, have you been there for a game? Have you?
Basketball school. I don't know if that can ever happen at the University of Alabama because of what they've created. And Nate Oates can go to the Final Four this year and win a national championship. Auburn's a basketball school. They are a basketball school. With what Bruce Pearl is doing at Auburn, Auburn is a basketball school. I don't care it's in the SEC. I don't care it's in the South. Cam Newton, national championship, that was years ago. Auburn's a basketball school. Book it, print it. That's what they are.
Here's what I'm going to do, man. I'm going to clip that out. I'm going to send it to every guy, every football player that both Florida and Auburn are recruiting, just to make sure that they know, like, Auburn's a basketball school, guys. You got to go to UF. You want to be a Gator. Chomp, chomp, right?
You're second rate. You're second rate.
So, all right. So, two things. One, both of their bigs today, so they've been starting Janai Broome and Dylan Cardwell together, which is like might be the scariest front line in the history of college bat. There's so much size and strength with those two. They both finished with 6 assists tonight, right? But my question is, 13 of the last 15 national champions, and 13 of the last 15 have started 2-point guards, right? Kansas didn't in 2022, and then I think it was Kentucky in 2012 only had Marquise Teague. Those are the only two since Kansas in 2008 that did not start 2-point guards. Auburn, like, I don't even know if they do have a point guard, right? Like, J.P. Pegues played 18 minutes off the bench. Tahad Pettiford's out there like he's a scorer. Do you call him a point guard? They started Denver Jones at the point today. Like, my question
did UConn a couple years ago?
I mean, it was Tristan Newton and Andre Jackson. I would call them both point guards because of the way that Andre. It's basically like you have two guards that can initiate offense, and you don't have to have just one guy out there. And I don't even know if they have one that can
always
initiate
been
offense.
a perimeter pro. Every national champion, if you go back 40 years, you have a pro on the perimeter. And I think Baker, Missouri can be that guy for them, possibly. But those two work well together. And what's so beautiful about those guys having dimes is that you don't get dimes with teammates who just stand around. You have teammates who see that you have the ball and they're like, oh shit, I got to get open because they're going to find me. There's one thing if you could just find the other big and, you know, you guys have good chemistry, but no, they're hitting shooters, they're hitting cutters, they're hitting the other big, they're hitting guys off, you know, coming off of like moving actions. And it's one thing to see a guy open. It's another thing to be able to actually get him the basketball. You know, I'm sorry to get this like back to like Big Ten, but I remember a few years ago, Trevion Williams, he could find anybody on the basketball court. Getting them the ball where they want the ball was like a total different task. Like he'll see them, but the ball will end up by their ankles or it'll end up like 3 feet above their head, just not in the shooting pocket whatsoever. But, you know, these guys, their teammates are cutting hard because they expect the basketball to come to them. That shows that they know that their teammates will not only find them, but they're also very, very unselfish, knowing that they're not looking to attack to score. They are looking to create, whether that's creating points for themselves or creating points for others.
Yep. All right, Matt, you got 30 seconds. Go ahead.
Just to follow up on this, I think the biggest thing for Auburn is how are they going to handle success? That's the biggest key. Like when you look at especially what they did out in Maui, they beat Houston going into Maui. Now they're going to turn around on December 4th and play Duke. Like, how are they? Oh, and by the way, they still have Ohio State and Purdue on their schedule. So how do they handle success? Like, that's the biggest key. Like, how are they going to handle coming out of this tournament with what's getting ready to come?
Yeah, and then you got to go play an SEC schedule, which is going to be ridiculous. Like, Auburn has so many good games this year. It's crazy. All right, you guys both have 10 seconds to answer this question, okay? There's only been one team since 2011, since Kemba Walker, that has won the Maui and has also won the Natty. That was North Carolina in 2017, the Joel Berry team. Is Auburn going to be the next one to do it? Matt?
Yes.
Yeah, there you go.
Give me 10 seconds.
Is Auburn?
It was either yes or no. I mean, it was like, it's 50-50. I mean, my odds are pretty good.
And did they get it done?
No, they're the best team today. I think they are a little bit better than Kansas because I've seen Kansas kind of act kind of weird in some games. But I will say they're the best today. But no, I don't think so. I don't think so.
Yeah, I kind of want to see it, man. I kind of want to see it. Bruce Pearl coaching in a national championship game.
National championship at Auburn? Are you kidding me?
It's insane, man. That's like
comes down to matchups, man.
Yep, that's like Scott Drew when I won at Baylor, man. That's nuts. All right, Michigan State just beat North Carolina in overtime. There's been a lot of concern about this Michigan State team this season, and I know you're a Michigan man, but you also are a Big Ten guy. What does this win mean? What does this mean for Michigan State big picture? Has Tom Izzo kind of figured this group out? I thought that they actually had a pretty good performance overall in Maui, go 2-1.
Yeah.
What do you make of this win?
Honestly, I have to check. I don't think Jace Richardson played today.
He was out.
Today?
He had a head injury.
Gotcha. Yeah, so like he was out. But for I think UNC, that three-headed monster, for Michigan State, for their backcourt, who personally think it's like the bottom half of the league, came out, and this is Box Score watching a bit, I'm sorry, but they came out and had that's 27, 19, is that 36?
46.
So 46 points, 14 dimes. I feel like they felt the pressure of this game where if you don't come out ready to play, you are going to get embarrassed. I'm happy that they put Fiddler to the bench because Fiddler low-key had probably one of his better games. I love Fiddler coming off the bench. Good for Trey Holloman leading them in scoring. But I think they're so much better with three guards. And I think that showed. But, going up against a UNC team with Trimble, Cadeau, and Davis, they were ready for this challenge, 100%. I saw in the first half, the starters had like 1 point through like 15 minutes or something. I have to go back and watch that and see what was up with that. But to be able to go out to Maui with a team who was really still trying to find itself, come together here after going 1-1, and being able to beat this North Carolina team who's been out there for several days because they played Hawaii, to be able to go out there and win this game is just huge. It's big for them. It's big for the confidence on the team. And you just have to hope that this game can boost Trey Holloman to continue to perform for sure.
Yeah, man, I feel like this was, we have questions about Michigan State's front court. We have questions about North Carolina's front court as well. We like Michigan State when they go three guards. Well, we know what we got in North Carolina's three guards. That's kind of how they play, right? I just feel like this was a situation where the matchup worked out well for Michigan State in terms of the strength of their roster. And their guys this sounds simplistic, they just outplayed North Carolina here. I feel like there's a lot of things you can learn from this. My question to you is, like, Tom Izzo, the change that he made today was moving Frankie Fiddler out of the starting lineup, right? And Tom's very set in his ways. Like, he knows what won in the 2000s, in the early 2010s. And now that you see a little bit of, hey, I go three guards, I beat North Carolina, we put up 94 points, all of a sudden it looks like our offense is a little better than, what were they, 362nd in three-point shooting heading into the Maui tournament. Is this the kind of thing that could convince him to, like, maybe, you know what, let's try to get a little more modern and pretend like college basketball's in 2024 in the portal era and NIL exists? Or because I do feel like that's that's kind of what, like, he wants to do what he wants to do, and he wants to do it his way. And sometimes you need something to kind of show you, hey, you know what? If you change it a little bit, it gets a little easier.
Rob, he hasn't missed a tournament since 1996. Think about that.
And winning is hard,
Since
right?
1990, winning is very hard. He has not missed the NCAA tournament since 1996, 97. So, I mean, he's going to do whatever he has to do to win. I think this game, and Ant said it, if you can come out of Maui with a 2-1 record, that's a win. Like, this field was ridiculous, and you're coming out there with a 2-1 record, that's a win. Like, think about Dayton right now, and I think Dayton's really good, and they're getting ready to play UConn. Like, Dayton would have gone out there and played North Carolina, who was the 12th ranked team in the country, UConn, and now or Iowa State, and now UConn. Like, 3 top 12 teams. Like, they're going to go. They could possibly, if they don't beat UConn tonight, go 0-3, and they looked really, really good. I think this game tonight is this more of a concern for North Carolina? Like, they're literally one possession away from being 500. Like, one possession away. Dayton had them beat. Huge lead in the second half. Like North Carolina wins the game by one possession. Like, Dayton had them beat. So where's this Carolina team at? 12th ranked team in the country, competed really hard against Kansas. They were right there. They had their opportunities and chances to win. Beat Dayton by one possession, lose to Auburn, lose to Michigan State. So, rather than talk about Michigan State and where they're at, it's kind of like, hey, man, this Carolina team, where are they? Like one possession away from being 500. So, and coming out of this, it doesn't get any easier for the Tar Heels, like, at
Where are your
all.
bigs at?
Got to get ready to play the Crimson Tide, Alabama. We'll see where they're at then.
Their bigs are one of them's at Alabama right now, another one's at Georgetown right now. Like that was a problem.
No bigs. It's crazy. They have a backup power.
We got 2 of them
forward,
on the field of 68. That's the problem. We got 2 of them on the field of 68.
Yeah, that's an issue too. I'm not going to go there about the NBA stuff with UNC, but that's a sensitive topic a little bit. But yeah, man, they don't have any bigs. I don't understand how you're North Carolina and you can't get a dude who's over 6'10". I don't understand that. It doesn't make sense to me. You got those 3 guards. You got Trimble, who can guard anyone on the perimeter. You got RJ Davis, elite scorer. You got Cadeau, who can create at all levels, and you don't have a big to set a good screen. It doesn't make any sense to me.
Yep. Well, listen, there was another event that did happen today. It was the Players Era Festival. I'm not exactly sure how the championship works here. Like, I still haven't figured out what the scheduling situation is with all of it. It's very confusing. But we're going to talk about some of those results there, and we're going to have to let Ant sing the praises of the Michigan Wolverines. And our producer Trevor would also not let us leave without a little bit of an Illinois-Arkansas preview that's coming up tomorrow on Thanksgiving. So we will get to all that here in just a second after a message from our sponsors. Now that the college basketball season is in full swing, you need to make sure that you have access to the best betting tool on the market, the Rhythm app. Spelled RITHMM, is a data-backed app that uses AI and analytics to identify inefficiencies in betting lines and the player prop market that will allow you, the user, to profit. You can create customized, analytics-driven betting models tailored to your personal preferences as a bettor. Users have access to up-to-the-second against-the-spread data. And if you're like me and you understand pictures better than numbers on a screen, Rhythm's internal trend analysis provides you with the kind of graphs that will allow you to evaluate past results and project future performance in a visual way. Every Division I college basketball team is included in the Rhythm's metrics. Free subscribers to the Field of 68 Daily will get 25% off for a Rhythm subscription. Use the QR code on the screen to sign up or download at the link in the description. Now that college basketball season is back in full swing, I need to remind you guys about our partners over at Autograph, where the real college hoops fans reside. The Autograph app curates all of the best content for every sports fan and every sports fan's favorite team. Podcasts, blogs, analysis. It's all there without the nonsense from the talking heads that don't actually watch the games. And there's a bonus. Consuming content on the Autograph app earns you coins that can be redeemed for rewards for things like no-fee tickets or signed jerseys from your favorite players. There are a couple new features in the app that I need to let you guys know about as well. Autograph Replay gives you a quick hitting summary of the previous day's news so you can keep track of all the important things going on with your favorite teams. And Autograph Rooms allows you to chat in real time with the true voices of fandom within your team's community. So go to the link in the description or scan that QR code on your screen and download the Autograph app. Welcome back to the Field of 68 After Dark. It is officially Thanksgiving, guys, and I appreciate you being here. I appreciate people watching. We appreciate everybody that is listening to this right now. A couple things that we're going to get to before we let everyone go home, get some sleep, and let me go here and cry while I watch UConn probably lose another game and go 0-3 in the Maui Invitational. That'll be a lot of fun for me to experience. It's a good thing I have a lot of these sitting in the fridge right now, McCall, to be able to numb the pain.
That's not a Coors Light. That's not a Coors Light.
It's not a Coors Light. It's got a little more kick to it than a Coors Light. Although I do love when the mountains are blue, man. There's nothing better than that. No. And before we get into the Players Era Festival, explain this Michigan team to me, right? Because I watched them against Wake Forest in the first week of the season, and I left that a little bit underwhelmed, right? Like I thought that they would be a little bit better than they looked in that game. But since then, they got a double-digit win against TCU. They got a double-digit win against Virginia Tech. And tonight, they beat a good Xavier team by 25 points in a game that looked like they made Xavier look like they were playing back in the Atlantic 10 or the MAC again, right? It was not an impressive performance from Sean Miller's team. Is Michigan for real? Like, do I need to buy into them?
Yeah, so even with the Wake Forest game, like if you go back and watch it, man, they were up double digits. Like they were doing whatever they wanted. But one thing about Michigan is that they go through these spells where they literally will pass the other team the basketball, or they'll just dribble off their foot, or they'll just throw errant passes. And they're one of the worst teams in the country when it comes to turnovers. And the one thing that they did today, they took care of the basketball for the most part, especially early on. I'm like, we're talking, they're in bye games and they're doing like 16 turnovers in like one half, which is crazy. That's absolutely crazy. But today, in the first, I believe, 15 minutes, they only had 2. And then when you're not turning over the ball, one thing I said coming into this year, with how this team is built, they could be one of the best shooting teams in the entire country. But they have about 7 or 8 guys who could let it loose from 22, 23 feet, and nobody would say anything about it. LJ Kaysen, the freshman, is one of this freshman class for the Big Ten. This is the best freshman class I have seen, and I don't even know. It's ridiculous. So LJ Kaysen is nice. Reuben Jones is a great defender. Namari is a great defender. Roddy Gill and Trey are probably going to be the ones who are going to lead from the outside. You have Sam Walters, really good shooter. Will Cheddar, really good shooter. You have Vlad Golden, who I felt like this was a game where he can get his mojo back, and he had 18 tonight. Danny Wolf, he's probably the man. He could look like a top 5 pick for 3 straight possessions, and then for 2 possessions, you're like, why is this guy in the game right now? It's nuts. He's like 7 feet tall, but he plays like a shooting guard. It's kind of insane to watch at times. He reminds me of like modern day John Lure. Very good player. Are they for real? They're for real as long as they don't turn over the ball. If they start turning over the ball, they're not a good basketball team. And what they did tonight was they took care of it as 1, but 2, defensively, they really hunkered down with Namari and Reuben especially. Those guys can get after guards, and they can make life hell for them. And they're positionally big. Like Namari is all of 6'3", 6'4". Reuben is all of 6'5". Roddy Gill is all of 6'4". Like these are bigger guards on the perimeter. So when they're playing a quicker guard and they're trying to get space, it's not the same being able to shoot over someone who's 6'5", 6'6", who's able to stay with you. So tonight they showed what their ceiling can be. But at the end of the day, it all comes down to them taking care of the ball, and they did that tonight.
McCall, it's Dusty May starting 2 7-footers on the same roster. Like I knew he wanted to do that. I didn't know if it was going to work, and it kind of looks like it's working for him now. Is that something that, I mean, I know you know him well. Is that something that you would expect to see from him?
No, not at all. Not when you watch his teams play at FAU. I mean, I guess you could say Elijah Martin was a starting power forward there for the last couple of years when they were having so much success. And I was a little bit skeptical, like, how is this going to work with Danny Wolf and Vlad Golden? And I think tonight was the first night that you saw, okay, this can work. Danny Wolf's coming in from Yale. He had a great career at Yale, the 2 years that he spent there, shot over 30% from three. And then you have Vlad, he is a 5-man. And Danny Wolf spent some time at the 5 spot at Yale. So it's like, okay, how is this going to work? Is the floor spacing going to be there? And to Ant's point, they just have to take better care of the basketball. But tonight's the night that's like, hey, I think this can work. Because I mean, look, I saw Xavier live against Dayton in a charity exhibition back in October, and I know it's a charity exhibition, but I'm like, man, is this the second or third best team in the Big East? And they didn't play their best basketball today, but by any means. But I think you have to give Michigan credit. But playing those two front court players together was a bit of a concern for me going into the season. Just like, how is this going to work? Danny wants to play a little bit more on the perimeter, but again, he's a 7-footer just like Vlad is, and Vlad struggled coming into this game. And we saw Vlad dominate games and play with joy and catch it. And even when sometimes last year for FAU, things may have not been going well because they weren't living up to expectations, which is crazy to think about FAU having expectations because they've never had expectations before. But Vlad was still playing extremely hard, running the floor. He struggled, and he kind of looks out of sorts since he's been at Michigan until tonight. And it's great to see him, play well.
Yeah, all right, guys, I want both of your takes on this. So, biggest takeaway so far from the Players Era Festival. Is it Oregon? Yeah, they're one of 2 teams now in the Big Ten that is still undefeated. They've beaten Texas A&M. They've beaten San Diego State on back-to-back nights. Is it Creighton and how concerning they are? Is it Alabama and kind of how impressive they've been? They are up by 8 right now with 3 minutes left against Rutgers. Where do you stand on that, McCall?
I think Alabama, just, what they've done and the schedule that Nate Oates has put together. Oregon, look, entering into a new league. I think, Alabama being able to beat Illinois the way that they did, without Sears having his best game, not even recording a field goal, and then to turn around and beat Houston the next night. I would probably say Alabama. I have such respect for the way that Oates schedules, and I think, you look at what they did last year in terms of their schedule. They played basically anybody in the country. They got, beaten at times in the non-conference, and then it prepared them for SEC play, and then they took off and got to a Final Four. So I would have to say Alabama.
Ant?
For me, I'm going to say Oregon just for the point of they should have lost to Portland last week. Portland had them down. It was like a 5-point game with like 20 seconds left or something. And Oregon found a way to get to overtime, and then they just ran over them there. Like, they should have lost that game. So I was skeptical about this team because on paper, it reminded me of like Villanova last year, where on paper you're just looking, you're like, this should work, right? But then I'm watching them play. I'm like, why isn't it working? But then over the last 2 days, they've found something there. They have a really solid rotation. I think they have one of the best rotations in the league. Like, you have Brendan Angel. I think he's the transfer from Stanford. Jackson Selstad is getting a lot of love of being one of the better point guards. Nate Biddle, former McDonald's All-American big. Jadrian Tracy has been good. They have KJ Evans coming off the bench, real good player from Maryland. This team is like one of the better teams that nobody's talking about. I also felt a bit slighted. I think there's been a lot of disrespect in the rankings when it comes to like Big Ten teams. I think they've only ranked maybe like 3, like somewhere in like the mid-teens, somewhere in there. For like Oregon to not be in there, being able to see what they've done the last couple games, and then you're looking at TJ Bamba, good for him. He was at Washington State. I loved his film. Went to Villanova, kind of like lost himself. I think today he had like 20 or 22. He was killing today.
Yeah.
I'm so happy for that dude, bro. I'm so happy for him. But Oregon, but they got to get to that next step, though. They got to get to that next step, really grow off this, and get to that next level.
Yeah, TJ had 22 today. He had 18 yesterday. I'm kind of with you with Oregon, right? Like, I understand why they're not getting ranked and why people look at that Portland performance and kind of look at it side-eyed a little bit. They struggled at Oregon State. You know, that was one where they were down, I think, double figures in the second half. So, like, I get why people see those results because let's be honest, right? The people that are voting are not going to go and grind the tape of Oregon playing at Oregon State or Oregon playing Portland. It's just not what they're going to do. They're just going to say, oh, Oregon's not ranked. They just struggled with this mid-major, and I'm not going to put them in there. But now you're on national television. You knocked off Texas A&M. You knocked off San Diego State. People respect those two programs. You're going to get – I don't know how it works. Again, I think it's going to end up being Alabama, but I'm not really sure. And then you'll play Alabama on national television on – is that Saturday, Sunday, Monday? At some point you're going to – who knows? But they'll have a chance to be able to kind of stake their claim to how good they are. Let's talk real quick, Arkansas and Illinois. That game is happening tomorrow. I love that they're playing it, 1. 2, I love that it's going to end up being like what people watch coming out of one of those NFL games. So just think about watching a great football game on Thanksgiving and all of a sudden you got to go and watch John Calipari's offense. Matt, it doesn't seem like that's the greatest thing in the world, but how do you see this matchup kind of breaking down? And is Trevor going to go to bed tomorrow night as a happy Illinois fan or a sad Illinois fan?
Hold on. Do the Eagles play tomorrow? Do they play on Thanksgiving Day, the Eagles?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. You're not an Eagles fan? What's your team? What's your NFL team, Dauster?
I root for the Eagles now because my son is a diehard Eagles fan. I was never a huge NFL guy. It was college basketball and baseball for me growing up.
Okay, there you go.
It's a 3-point game.
I like the Illini tomorrow. I like this team. I do. I think Trevor can go to bed tonight and sleep good that they're gonna, win this game and this matchup against Arkansas. I do. They're a young team. I think what Brad Underwood did in the portal, but also bringing in a really, really talented freshman and how they're playing. And, you look at their schedule, their only hiccup was they gave up 100 to Alabama. But I think this team is for real. I think they play extremely hard. I think they're a physical basketball team. I think they have the right pieces, and I think for Arkansas, it's, who are we going to be? How are we going to guard pick and rolls? How are we going to play on offense? Are we going to move the ball? Are we going to share the ball? Is it going to turn into a one-on-one game? What are we running on offense? Is the ball going to change sides of the floor? And that's what Illinois is going to do. And they're going to put pressure on the defense and make them do that. So I like the Illini in this game. I do when you look at the matchup because I think that they're an unselfish team. The ball is going to change sides of the floor and make, Arkansas have to make decisions on how they're going to guard pick and rolls. And we've seen them guard pick and rolls a variety of different ways.
Ant, are you in? Are you on the Illini too?
Yeah. I mean, the game's in Missouri, I think. 2 big matchups I'm looking for. Big Z versus Tom. 2 brothers going at it. I think is awesome. It's great for the
That's
game.
Awesome.
And then Colin Boswell versus Boogie Flynn. That's going to be one to watch too. Colin Boswell is why Mark Sears didn't have any any field goals for Alabama. Very good defender. That's what he does. He is that like Drew Holiday, Casey Wallace type of guy who is going to try to lock you down on that end of the floor. And like he's not small. He's not small. He's a bigger guard. I can't wait to see him match up with Boogie, because Boogie's a very good player. He's a first round pick, easy. But
he's impressed.
The two brothers
Boogie is really impressive. Yeah, Boogie's
nice. Boogie is nice. That dude can go. That dude can go. And all the NBA chats, they just rave about him because of his misdirection, his twitch. Everything is just next level with him.
Yeah, I'm with you guys. I just think that if you're going to be like in a game like this, in a non-conference game like this, a neutral court setting, you want to bet on the guy that you think is going to be better prepared as a coach. And the last time that we heard from John Calipari in a big matchup like this, he said that he did not prepare his team for a zone while facing a Scott Drew coach team. And that does not fill me with confidence when it comes to that. Matt, give me your
Will Riley, 54% from three. Don't forget about that.
Yep. All right. Give me your rank your best Thanksgiving dishes, Matt. And it could be specific ones, guys. Like it could be, you could say it's mac and cheese, but it's only my grandma's mac and cheese, right? And it hasn't been good since she stopped making the mac and cheese at Thanksgiving, or since we stopped involved. Whatever it is, give me your top 5 or top whatever favorite Thanksgiving dishes. Matt, you go. Ant, you go next.
I'm going to keep it simple. I'm a stuffing guy. I like stuffing with a little bit of gravy on top of it. That's my go-to. Love mashed potatoes, not nearly as much the gravy on the mashed potatoes, like it better on the stuffing. So stuffing, mashed potatoes, and then I'm going to throw a little bit of a wrinkle in there. Give me some black-eyed peas. Grew up in the South, love black-eyed peas. Grandma McCall used to always have black-eyed peas on Thanksgiving. We used to have it on New Year's Day as well. It was good luck for the year, black-eyed peas and collard greens. But we had it on Thanksgiving Day as well. So those are my 3.
I didn't know Black Eyed Peas was actually a food. I just thought it was a band. I'm not going to lie to you, man. Is that how you know?
Come on.
I didn't know it was actually a food. I thought it was just a band.
Come on.
My bad. Ant, go ahead.
Oh, man. How many? 1 or 2, 3?
However many you want. How many you got?
I mean, I probably got 2. So give me that ham that's off the bone. That's just like sitting there, just all the ham, and I got like cut off a piece. On the next day, it's always nice to get like 2 pieces of bread, put some like Miracle Whip or like mayo on it, and then cut off a big piece of ham and just throw it on there and just eat it. Then I'll have to go chitlins with like Frank's Red Hot. So good. What's so funny? Y'all laughing at my ham?
No, you were talking about the day after Thanksgiving. We're talking about Thanksgiving Day. You're like,
yeah, I'm saying, but like,
it just leads on the day after Thanksgiving.
It all leads in.
Is the sandwich like just like bread, mayo, and ham? Is that all we got on the sandwich?
No, it's like so. All right, on Thanksgiving, it's delicious. It's like half my plate. The ham is so good. It's all good. But the ham, you don't put it in the fridge. You just let it sit there, just on the counter. So like that night, the next day, it's just there. Just chop off a piece, you put on some bread, and you just eat it. Like, it's awesome because it's like a 72-hour, window that you got that you're just going to just destroy this ham bone. But chillins and Frank's Red Hot.
Look, I'm with you on the ham. The excuse me, the day after ham sandwiches are great. We always do ham at Christmas, and it's like it's the honey baked one, right? Where you get like it's like the crispy, sugary outside.
Yeah,
man. That stuff is really good. We do that for Christmas.
Yeah.
For me, I can't believe you guys like no one said mac and cheese for like a top side. No,
I love mac and cheese.
What are we doing?
Are we thumbs down in mac and cheese right now?
How is nobody saying stuffing? I don't understand. It's
no,
Thanksgiving.
I love stuffing too. I love stuffing too. It's mac and cheese, stuffing,
stuffing?
and mashed potatoes.
Stuffing.
Stuffing is
It's like
you never had
dressing.
stuffing. Yeah, it's
Dressing.
like dressing.
Okay.
Yeah, that's how you know you're from Maryland. Is that you say dressing instead of stuffing?
I'm from
How about
Virginia.
this? Matt McCall hates mac and cheese. Yeah, you're right. I don't like mac and cheese.
Got it up.
How?
I don't like it. I don't like mac and
That's
cheese.
crazy.
You gotta get the real mac and cheese, not that Velveeta stuff. You need like real baked mac and cheese.
Like the Kraft, like my kids eat the Kraft.
No, man, you gotta get real mac and cheese. You gotta get like 5 different cheeses.
You
gotta use American cheese. Use American cheese as the glue to keep it all together on the inside. Oh man.
Mm-hmm.
I'll send you a recipe.
Yeah. You got to make it from scratch, man. You make it from scratch, it'll change your life. I promise you. It'll be better than the Will I Am that you're eating.
My wife does the cooking. Send it to my wife.
Okay,
the top's got to be hard. Oh, it's so good.
All right. That's the deal in our house.
Yeah. You do the dishes, she does the cooking?
Every night.
Fair enough, man. Fair enough. Listen, this has been fun, guys. Alabama looks like they're going to end up pulling this off against Rutgers. The UConn game has just started. I'm going to go sweat this thing out and hopefully not want to commit seppuku by the time this thing is over. I want to be able to make it to Thanksgiving. I got to be able to eat my mac and cheese and mashed potatoes and stuffing and pie. We didn't get pie rankings. Real quick, 5 seconds on it. Ant, your top pie, best pie for Thanksgiving.
Pumpkin with the whipped cream on top.
Matt?
Pecan. It's not pecan, it's pecan.
Yeah. Throw a little apple in there and then put them all on a plate and then take one big scoop of ice cream, right? Stick the pies in the oven for like 2 minutes so they get warm, then put the ice cream on top of it so it kind of melts a little bit. There you go, right there. That's what you need. The perfect way after you take your nap, right? After you fall asleep on the couch at like 5 o'clock and you wake up and you create a little more space, that's what you do. That's how you end the night right there. Pro tip for all of you guys listening right now. Listen, appreciate you guys being here. Matt, great to see you. Glad that you were able to make it here out in Phoenix.
Yeah, we got no Thanksgiving meal tomorrow. We got a doubleheader at the Arizona tip-off. Mississippi State,
you're locked in.
Northwestern, UNLV, Butler. We got too much hoops tomorrow. We can't even eat turkey. Let's go.
Northwestern, Barnheiser, Martinelli.
Ooh.
They better combine for 50 tomorrow.
Let's go.
They don't have a chance.
I don't think it's happening. Guys, always great to see you. Appreciate you people listening. Everybody have a great and happy and safe Thanksgiving. If you're drinking, Uber on your way home. Don't get behind the wheel. Don't drive. We'll see you.